You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live. Athletes. Featuring in-depth interviews with athletes and members of the sports industry. Black Hollywood Live. Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Athletes.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another premium edition of Athletes on BHL. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey, and joining me today is...
I'm Charlotte Broadbent. What's up?
What's up, everybody? We've got a very special guest here joining us today. College athlete, record breaker, played for University of Massachusetts, went to the NFL, played for a few teams there, got a SuperBowl ring, and went up north and currently plays in Canada right now in the CFL, where he actually led his team to a Stanley a Grey Cup, a Grey Cup championship there, got a ring there, and is still doing his thing.
You got the internet there.
We do have the internet, but we're going to get into the interview so he can tell us a little bit more himself about
Can't give everything away right off the bat.
Welcome, Brandon London.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me here on this beautiful, sunny, well, it's not really sunny outside in LA, but
cloudy.
it's nice. It'll get there.
It's not bad. It's okay.
It's workout weather.
It's so. It is workout weather.
Workout weather.
True.
Of course, all weather's workout weather.
Yeah, true.
when you're a true athlete, work out in the snow.
True athlete.
When you're a true athlete. So tell us a little bit about. Let's start back with UMass. You played at UMass, and you hold some places there with stats. You did your thing. You played receiver.
Yeah, wide receiver.
And you're what, like 6'3"?
6'4".
6'4".
NFL 6'4", college 6'5". You know how.
Right.
There's me.
Right, there he is. Right
There's me.
Yeah, there he is.
Nice surprise.
They always give you that true. You get your true size in NFL. In
Yeah.
college, they give you, they like bolster your size up a little bit.
Bulk your size.
Right.
Yeah. I went to a prep school, Fort Union Military Academy, because I didn't. What's called the clearinghouse, NCAA clearinghouse. Mm-hmm. You have to have SATs and GPA. I didn't clear right away. UMass said they would take me as a prop 48.
Right.
They don't do that anymore.
Right.
I sat out all of camp waiting for the clearinghouse to clear my stuff. They were actually going to send me back to Virginia, and I was going to have to go to a JUCO.
That waiting game, I've been that. It's awful.
Wow.
It's worse. It's the worst. I couldn't practice. I couldn't do anything. I was just sitting out there watching. I couldn't stay in the dorms. I was staying at somebody's apartment. They picked me up in the morning, and then I'd go watch practice and do all that. And it didn't happen. I didn't get cleared until 1 week before the first game. So camp, I missed all of camp my true freshman year. First game of the season, we're beating Central Connecticut. It's like 55-3. And my receiver coach, I'm sitting there bouncing around on the sideline. Everybody's looking at me like, what's he bouncing around for? He's not even playing. And my receivers coach is like, you want to play? Hell yeah, I want to play. And I ran out there, killed my red shirt, man. Killed my red shirt. But I ended up starting 2 games my true freshman year. I only had 4 catches, but,
That's a good experience, though.
That's great experience, man. A lot of guys used to make fun of me. A lot of other receivers who came in my class. And like, oh, now you don't have a chance to get to the league. You just burned a year or whatever. That next year, I went from 4 catches to like 38, almost 40 catches. Just like that. You pick up on the game speed.
Right.
You pick up on what's it like to be like a college starter. And UMass is in the South school. Like back then, we were 1AA.
Right.
But they had just went to the national championship a couple years before, won the division. So I was playing on a really good team with some really good players.
And the coaches could obviously see your eagerness.
Yeah.
To get out there and prove yourself, and that's one thing I think coaches look at. It's not just a matter of like, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna sit out for my first year. Athletes should always want the opportunity to perform and prove up, because as soon as you get to the next level, you always have to prove up. No matter what you did in the level before, it's like, well, you got there because you performed at the level that you were at before. Now you still have to prove yourself worthy on this level.
On this level.
Right.
I mean, people think that, and it's been like this my entire life. My father being a football coach, being the head football coach at the University of Virginia. And, I had to grow up with him going to different schools, and I got to see different players. But everybody thinks that since they're the man in high school, they're going to be the man in college.
Right.
And then they think that since they're the man in college, they're going to be the man in the pros.
Right.
Like Meek Mills, like that Meek Mills said, there's levels to this, man.
Right.
It's levels to this. Everybody was all state, all county in high school.
That's true.
Now you bring them in, and then you're in college now. Now you got to battle it out. Now you got to fight it out in college to get to the league. Then you get to the league. Everybody was all conference in college. Everybody was, this guy won the Heisman, or this guy was all SEC.
Right.
Now you were with the creme de la creme.
Right.
Like you walking in, like the first time I walked in with the Giants, I'm like, man, this Plaxico Burress. I'm just sitting there staring at him.
Right.
I know he was looking at me like, man, what in the world? But I'm sitting there like, man, that's Plaxico Burress.
Right.
So it's a situation like that, man. I wanted to play. And it ended up working out for me, being a very good thing for me. And then, I just didn't look back.
Sounded like you grew up grounded, and having your dad being the head coach at UVA, I mean, that's a huge plus for you.
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people don't have. Was football kind of drilled into you from a very young age that, okay, this is what you're going to do?
I was running routes in the womb. I've been from day one. It was just, I had no choice. It's just like, who's like Michael Jackson's son that just came out to be a son. He has no choice but to be a singer.
Right.
It's a situation like that. And it's even worse when you have your grandmother, my dad's mom, my Nana, I call her, yelling at Tony Romo on the TV, saying that it's cover 2, you got to go up the seams. Like, I come from that type of family. Right. And my father, he wasn't at UVA while I was growing up. He was at Women Mary, Richmond, went back to Women Mary. Then he got his big break at Boston College.
Right.
So that was a thing where, as a young age, I learned that hard work gets you through the door.
Yeah.
All hard work does is give you a chance. Because my dad used to wake me and my older brother up at like 6 a.m.
I was gonna ask you about that. You have an older brother.
Yeah, I have an older brother.
Okay,
yeah.
so he played as well.
Yeah, he played football, but basketball was his thing.
Okay.
I don't understand because everybody in the family plays football. Even my little sister, who's 26, she plays for the Atlanta Explosion in the WFL.
Really?
She's a football player.
Wow.
She played basketball in college, but
Right.
football. My brother is the only one who.
It's in the blood.
He's the only one walking around the house with a basketball. Football's all over the place.
But you guys are like me. Your brother, how tall is he?
He's about 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, so you guys have that universal athlete size where you kind of can play or perform at any sport that you want to. You could play basketball, you could play baseball, you can play football. When you have certain sizes of athletes, you can kind of just jump into whatever sport and fit in if you want.
And especially with a upbringing like yours, it sounds like hard work pays off and it gets you where you want to be. Was kind of drilled into you guys.
Yeah.
And
It has to
that's
be.
what you have to have when you sports.
Always.
Well, in life.
A lot of kids,
definitely.
and the best part about it was through that blessing of who my father was and what his job was, I met a lot of other players who just, didn't have fathers, didn't have guidance.
Right.
And we'd attach ourselves to each other, and we just go grind it out, man. Because the kids who want to learn, the kids who come from the really bad situations, that they're dumb fast, they can catch, they're naturally gifted.
Right.
A lot of those kids come from broken homes and stuff. They don't have that
Support.
father figure, that support. But for me to be able to bring friends into work, with my dad and stuff, and these guys working out, it was amazing because those guys push me. You're influenced by your friends.
Right.
So if my friends want to hang around and do nothing, I was probably gonna hang around and do nothing.
Right.
But my friends wanted to, Saturday morning come along. We were, at a keg party the night before. Saturday morning roll around. Oh man, did I just say I was underage drinking? Oh man, that happened a long time ago.
You said you were at a cake party. You didn't say you were drinking.
Yeah, I was at it. Yeah, I didn't say I was drinking. I didn't say I was drinking.
You said you were just there.
But we would wake up and go work out, go run one-on-ones, go do, go do what we have to do. And I think it was a blessing, man. It was definitely a blessing. And like I said, I had to do it. I pretty much had to play football. I had no choice.
What was the downside of having a dad that played? I mean, your dad was a DB, right?
DB.
He was a DB. There has to be pros and cons to having a parent. Ultimately, knowing the big picture, it's ultimately a pro, no doubt. But when you're growing up, what are some of the battles that you went through, maybe with yourself or just dealing with your dad? Because, a parent, especially a father when it comes to sports, especially when that's their field of expertise, can be, just like you were talking about the Jacksons, it could be hard
rough.
on you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean in the big picture you come out better for it. But as a kid, what were some of the things that, like, disciplinary wise, that your dad was just like, oh, I hate, like, if I don't get this right, he's gonna do this or whatever.
Anybody who knows my father, like you follow him on Twitter or you've seen some of his speeches, he's a very humble guy. Like, life has humbled him through experience of being a cop, almost dying, and then that's when he changed over to be a football coach. And here I am, this flamboyant kid, like this little kid. I used to think I was a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I used to think I was Deion Sanders, and I used to think I was Muhammad Ali, all in one. All I did was talk trash. All I did was make plays, talk trash, walk around, bouncing around, doing all that stuff. And my dad used to hate it.
He said Fresh Prince, Muhammad Ali,
and Deion. So just think of how flamboyant I was. But my dad used to hate it, man. And I remember it was one time I was at a Little League baseball game, All-Star game, and I had struck out for the third time that day. I was having a terrible day. And I struck out, and I came back to the dugout, and I threw my bat, I threw my helmet. And from when I struck out, my dad was like all the way up there on a hill. So I'm like, okay, he's all the way up there, whatever. So I throw my hat down, throw the bat down. The umpire comes up to me, stops the game, comes up to me in the dugout and says, the next time you throw your hat or your bat, you're out of here. And here I am, like 9, 10 years old, flamboyant, looking at the umpire. Well, the next time you call a bad call, I'm going to throw you out of nowhere. My dad grabbed me by the back of the neck. I thought he was at the top of the mountain. He had made his way down, waiting for me to say something because he knew I was going to say something because I threw the bat and all that. And before I could get the last word out, he yoked me up. I got throughout the game. And it was just something where it was like he set me, he's going to be a father, he's going to yell at you and do all that. But in terms of like being my boy, being a coach and seeing something in me, he always had to pull me to the side and tell me there's etiquette in this game. You don't disrespect the game in certain ways. You don't make it all about you all the time. So when it came to that, I think that was the biggest thing. And that in grades, because he used to always tell me, go do your homework. I'm like, oh, man, I don't feel like doing my homework. I deal with the clearinghouse every day. I'm a football coach. You need to get your SATs, need to match your GPA. Go do your homework. I'd be like, all right, I'll go do my homework, go downstairs. You remember when AOL first came out? So I was sitting there acting like I'm on a computer doing research. Man, I'm on my buddy list, man. I'm on my buddy list.
He said he's on his buddy list.
I'm on my buddy list.
Funny.
My old screen name used to be Nappy 101. I used to be on like AOL so hard all the time. But though I feel like the grades and the etiquette part were the two things where I felt like pressure, because sometimes when he was watching or whatever, I felt like, I couldn't really be me. I couldn't be Muhammad Ali, Fresh Prince, Right. So sometimes I played a little stiff around him at times. But there would be some times, man, where like he'd come to a game because I would play on a Saturday and he would play on a Saturday sometimes. I would play on a Friday and he'd have a Saturday game, away game, so he wouldn't be able to come. So when he was able to come into the audience and be there, oh, man, I try and ball out, man.
Right.
I try and ball out because I want to get in the car and be like, yeah, you say be humble and, give the ball back to the ref. But you see how I am when I catch that ball, I'm making big plays, Dad. Like, come on, you can't tell me how to play the game. So it's just a situation like that. And I always wanted to measure up to not only him, but both of his brothers, my two uncles. My one uncle got drafted by the Seattle Mariners out of high school.
Wow.
And played at the University of Virginia football. And then my other uncle played at ECU, Eastern Carolina University. So all three of them went D1. My dad went to Richmond, but Richmond was 1A back in his day. So I always had this thing where I felt like I had to go 1A. All three of them were Mr. Football in Virginia in high school. Wow. I always felt like I had to be Mr. Virginia. Mr. Football in Virginia. And my dad made it to the league, but he got hurt in camp towards ACL. So, that's... Back then, that's over. Right. Now Adrian Peterson can come back from it like it's nothing. Right. But back then, So I always wanted to be the first one to really make it in the league.
All right.
Play in it, do my thing there. And both of my uncles, all three of them tore, did some tour like an MCL or PCL, all that their senior years in college.
Oof, I know
Seniors,
what that's like.
I'm the only London who walked away their senior year in college with nothing.
Oh yeah,
on
I
it.
guess senior in college is gone. I was gonna say touch wood.
Oh no,
You're
I've already torn my meniscus 2 seasons ago in Canada, so
Yeah.
the knee thing is already the knee and the concussion thing. I'm already past that. So.
He's like, all right, this
I'm
happened.
past that.
happened.
Whatever the next London curse is, I'll hold my breath for that, or I'll
Right.
touch wood or something for that. But I mean, it was a situation to where when I got on with the Giants, and everybody was just so proud, man. And I was just, it was a thing where I just looked back at all the times where my uncles used to be playing basketball with me in the front yard, and even my Uncle Paul used to play video games with us back then. I just wanted to beat him so bad. I wanted to beat him and beat him.
Right.
So that carries on you, as
Yeah.
you go on with life, and
Yeah,
you
most
see
definitely.
somebody tell you that, oh, they're better than you, or they think you're better than you. It's let's go play.
Right.
You think you can beat me on horse?
Show me.
Let's go beat me on horse.
Right.
Yeah, show me. My dad always used to say growing up, I'm like Missouri, the show me state.
All right.
It's a situation like that, man.
Right.
It's just competition. I'm a competition junkie.
So your college career, did you have big expectations coming out of college, or were you just happy to get a shot at the league? Because some guys, because you performed well, you performed very well, UMass. Were you expecting to get drafted? Was it like a situation where you're like, okay, I'm holding some records here. I'm in standings with a lot of records here at my school, at my institution. Maybe I have a shot, or is it like I just want to get on a team? Like, because some guys are really cocky
Yeah,
about it. Like we
yeah,
were talking about, they're
yeah.
like, oh, I was all conference this or all this and this and that, and then
blah, blah.
I played with guys that were expecting to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were the man at our school, right? And you're like, at their position, but they didn't get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge
And that's like a knockback down to earth. But it sounds
Yes.
like you stayed humble because of your
Right.
upbringing, because of your sports family. That's something that they've drilled into you to stay humble, keep your feet on the ground, and just work hard.
Yeah, it's a situation. It was half and half. Half of me was like, it all depended on what I felt like, what I ran at my pro days. I had a private workout with the Cleveland Browns. I ran 2 4.47s. At
Okay.
6'4", that was good.
That
Caught
was good.
everything.
Yeah.
My pro day came in Massachusetts, and it was snowing. So I ran like a 4.51 and a 4.54. And I'm like, that's not going to get you in there. That's not going
yeah.
to get you drafted. Went to Boston College pro day the next week and pretty much ran the same 4.51, 4.53. But in all my workouts, every pro day workouts, I didn't drop a ball. Every time I touched the ball, like say we're throwing that way and the next end zone is down there, I would catch it, run, score, jog back, and run the next route.
Right.
So I tried to show college scouts, I want this.
Right.
Like, this is what I want to do.
Right.
I'm in shape. I'm running. I'm doing all this.
You
and a
play
lot,
with heart.
hard. You have to. Football. This game of football. She loves you. She just like she loves me. She loves me not. She loves you. You could be balling 1 second, your knees blown out.
Yeah.
The world hates you. Like just think of Derrick Rose. Just look at how high he was, what
Right.
platform he was playing at. Playoff game. Something stupid.
Right.
Bam. Tore whatever he tore, and now look at it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be his friend anymore.
Right.
So football, man, it's a game where it can humble you so much. And I was looking to get drafted because 30 out of 32 teams had called me and told me I was on their board somewhere. And the great part about it was that the guy who ran the receiver portion of my pro day was Coach Mike Sullivan. He was the New York Giants wide receiver coach. Mm-hmm. And so he drove all the way up from New York to UMass in snow, worked me out in front of everybody, threw balls to me, took me into the meeting room. We watched film. We sat down. We ate together. He just, got to know me throughout that day. And then when the draft day came, they had been calling me all during the second day because remember the draft was only 2 days back then.
Right.
So he was calling me throughout the second day. They were telling me, if this happens. And a bunch of teams were calling saying, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, had called and said some stuff. And I was like, oh, man, I might be a Steeler. And then they went and drafted a receiver in the 7th round. And then the Jets did the same thing. They drafted Chancey Stuckey in the 7th round. I'll always remember that. So it came down to the Giants, and they took my boy Mike Johnson. He was a safety from Arizona in the 7th round. And then they took Ahmad Bradshaw, running back. in the 7th round. It was disheartening, you know, because I thought I could at least slip and be Mr. Irrelevant. I at least love to be Mr. Irrelevant or something.
Right,
And
slide in there.
my uncle and my brother had called me, I think in like the late 5th round, and they were acting like they're the Cleveland Browns coach or a GM, and they're like, yeah.
They were playing practical.
They were playing a practical joke on me, and I was for some reason that's rude. Mike London, Gary London, you guys are rude. And they called and they had me for a little bit, and then I was like, wait a minute, and then they came in busting and laughing. My grandmother was laughing. I'm like, Mama, how you laughing at that? But yeah, I thought I was gonna get drafted, man. But it didn't work out like that. Right. We call it the 8th round, all the free agents. Yeah. But I mean, look at the names, the free agent names that have come out and had just been a ton. Great. Vic Cruz, my college teammate. James Ahedebo, my college teammate. Jeremy Miles, a teammate from UMass. Like, everybody goes in the 8th round and just, you know, you shine because you get that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is.
Do you think that the league sometimes recognizes that? I think there's some players that have been so they walk in to a situation, into the draft or to that next level on the level of they already have that marquee status. There's no way in the world that they're going to be able to bargain, use that bargaining chip, you know, because it's at the end of the day, it's a business, right? Yeah. So
preach.
Right. So these guys want to get the best they can for the least they can, like any businessman, right? Do you think that they oftentimes will not draft certain players so they can get them for a lesser range? Like, look, you didn't get drafted, so you're only going to be able to get this much, or we're only going to be able to pay you this much, knowing that they're going to get, you know, a great athlete, and they're kind of just like. Sometimes I feel like that. It's like there's a group of athletes that are kind of tweeners, and they're like, let's put them over here. Yeah. And if nobody drafts them, then it's kind of like gas prices. Because you have obviously, if say me and you are coming out, you went to UCLA, I went to UMass. Right. We're coming out the same year. Receivers, we both run 4.4, both 6'4", we're all this. They're gonna take you before they take me because you went to the bigger school. So they're gonna automatically take the bigger name, the bigger if the credentials, if the attributes are the same. Right. When it comes to guys falling in the 8th round or free agency, not a lot of people knew who I was. Not a lot of scouts teams knew who Victor Cruz was and Ryan Clark and some of these guys. Yeah. It's a situation where once you get to that 6th, 7th round, you almost kind of want to be a free agent because you can pick your team. You can pick your situation. Right. When it comes to being a free agent, so much has to happen for you to make that team. Like if you look at my year with the Giants, that rookie year, no receivers went on IR the entire year. Not one receiver, and you don't sit there and pray for somebody to get hurt or anything, but sometimes that's your calling. That's your call up. A spot opened up. But when Victor Cruz's year, like three receivers went on IR before the preseason, and they shipped Steve Smith away before the season had even started. Now that's not just he still had that preseason game where he jumped on the scene and just didn't look back. Right. But some guys, there's some good guys out there who don't get that opportunity because it doesn't open up for them like that.
How the cards are played.
How the cards are played. So
from the big guy, not from like anyone else. It's all everything.
But you never want to sit there and wish somebody to get hurt. Like what type of hater are you? Like that's you. My mindset when I first got to the Giants during OTAs, I went and then we had a break. I went back to UMass to work out, and I was with all my boys. I was like, man, I'm taking Amani Toomer's job. Amani Toomer, Giants all-time leading receiver. All-time leading receiver.
Too. I know Amani from way back.
And I'm sitting there. I'm
high school, actually, all the way back. Amani was playing for De La Salle. And, they were like the all-time winningest team in high school football. They had not lost a game in like over 10 years.
Toom has credentials,
undefeated.
Man.
He came from that. Yeah, he has some credentials.
He was starting.
They actually just made a movie about this team, this high school team.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah,
that's nice.
It's going to be coming out soon. But
that's the mindset.
Those are the kind of mindset you got to have.
You have to have it because you could be gone any day. Everyone's like, So now with the NFL roster being at 90 right now for they just started their workouts. Everybody's on the team right now, pretty much, but they got to cut it down to 53. Yeah. So throughout the times, let's say I could be balling at receiver, but I could be like receiver number 9, 10 on the list, and offensive lineman goes down and they need to bring in an offensive lineman, they could cut me because we have too many receivers to bring in the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So every day as a free agent, it's like
The numbers game.
me and you were boys.
Yeah.
Playing video games, all that. Man, I beat you in 2K. You owe me $20. We get to the locker room tomorrow. You're gone. Like, man, where my $20 at, man? Because you could be cut at any time.
Yeah.
It's a situation like that. So, like, opportunities really have to happen for some people for them to, be able to make the practice squad or make the team. And, it's just all about the cards.
How was it playing with that or being in that situation with the uncertainty? Was it always in the back of your head?
Yeah, and it's always in the – and I started off camp with the Giants so rough. I was getting yelled at by Coach Coughlin because I wasn't catching the ball. That's my forte. I've always been able to catch.
Right.
Not been the fastest guy, but I've always been able to catch. And I'm going through camp like, wow, I'm dropping balls, easy balls. I dropped two touchdowns in a row in a scrimmage up in Albany where we had training camp. Coach Coughlin yelled at me so hard. I'm sitting there like, well, let me call my mom and tell her she's not gonna get that little money I promised her because my checks are about to end. But I had Steve Smith, the wide receiver from USC.
Yeah.
We came in the same year. We actually became real good friends. He was my roommate, and he would always just, hey man, just relax, man, just calm down. I'm sitting there, I mean, you're the second round pick. It's easy for you to relax. You ain't going nowhere.
Right.
But for me, it's just you got to slow the game down. Once you get into the NFL, man, you're with the Calvin Johnsons, you're with the Reeveses, you're with guys who, man, they're just born. It almost seems like they're born to play ball.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you so big, so fast, and you can catch, and you can, and you're smart. So it's a situation where you just had to slow. I had to slow the game down, and then one catch led to another catch, to another catch, to another catch. Then I had 4 my last preseason game against the Patriots. I didn't make the team right away or whatever, but they put me on the practice squad, and that gives you time.
Right.
Time to develop. I'm fresh out of UMass. You're not going to expect me to come out and be a starter and all that. This guy, he's a project. Put him on the practice squad, let him grow, and man, it helped me tremendously.
So from there, you developed some.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you transitioned over to the Dolphins.
Yeah, that transition that development process that year, being around Plax, being around Amani Toomer, seeing how to be a pro, being in practice every day. I had to be whatever team we're going against, whatever top receiver they have. That's who I had to be in practice. So we played Dallas 3 times that year, twice in the regular season, once in the playoffs. I was T.O. Wore the 81 jersey. They'll put up a card, and then you'll see 81, and you run that route against the first team defense. So I'm going up against Sam Madison, Corey Webster, all these guys every day. If I get jammed, hey, I get jammed. I'll get yelled at by Plaxton. Hey man, you better get his hands off you. And then they'll coach you up on your routes, but you're going against the best of the best every day. We got to playoff time, and I just felt like I couldn't be stopped. I know it was still practice, but I had to be Donald Driver because we played Green Bay. I had to be T.O. again. I had to be Joey Galloway, and I had to be Randy Moss because we were playing. I had to be Randy Moss twice that year because the last game of the season we played them, and then we played them Super Bowl. So there would be times where it's basically a one-man route. They'll have it up there. They'll have my route, and they'll have a highlighter circled around the route. Throw the ball here.
Right.
If I'm Randy Moss, throwing the ball here. So I got great work going downfield, learning how to try and catch it in double coverage against 2 very good players.
Right.
Catch it, put it away, that type of stuff. And I was making plays. So I'm like, I can play in this league. I know I can play in this league. Had a great offseason in terms of training and working out. And then training camp came, and I don't know, man. I was tearing it up.
Right.
Like, I can try and be humble right now and all that, but I was tearing it up in practice.
Hey, this is what it
Guys
is.
were going down.
Right.
Getting injured. So I got to get bumped up in terms of going with the ones. There's times in practice. There's one practice. I remember this practice. Amani Toomer, he wasn't hurt. It was the second practice of the day, so they didn't let him do 2 a days. Plax was hurt. Steve Smith was hurt. Sonoris Moss was okay. Dominic Hickson was hurt. And David Tyree was nicked up. So we only had like 4 or 5 receivers for that entire day. I went the 1s, I went the 2s, and the 3s. I think I had like 11 catches that day in practice.
Wow.
And like 5 or 6 were from Eli. Just because I was getting open, making plays,
Right.
and I'm sitting there. And then I ended up being the third receiver for that Thursday night football game against the Cleveland Browns. And I hurt my shoulder that game. But I did enough.
Weight room.
I know, man. You get small during camp.
You do, right?
Go through 2 practices and everybody, you want to go lift? Lift. I'm going to bed,
Right.
man. I'm going to bed. But the Miami Dolphins and Giants wanted to put me back on the practice roster because no one was on IR, no one got hurt or anything like that, and they wanted me to continue to develop. But the Miami Dolphins had seen me play, seen my preseason, and I was going in to sign my practice roster contract. And, you know, I'm on the phone with my agent. I'm bummed out. I'm like, man, I thought I made the team this year. I'm balling out. My agent, so I hung up. I'm about to walk into the room, and he calls me back, and he's like, don't sign anything. You're a Miami Dolphin. Now, keep in mind, this is like 11, like this is like 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning. I had a 1 o'clock flight to Miami. So he was like, go home, go get your stuff, pack a bag, and go. And I was staying with Ahmad Bradshaw then because we had just broke camp. I went home, just packed 2 bags. It was like, I'm going to Miami, baby. To be on the roster, to be on the team now, not practice squad anymore. My dream has finally come alive.
Right.
So I got there, and that first week, I was only there, the first week of prep because I missed camp because I was with the Giants.
Right.
Played against the Jets that first week, and it was just like, man,
What was
Here I
that
am.
feeling? I mean, firstly, it's 10 o'clock, you're walking into the room at the Giants, ready to sign the paper for the practice team. And then it's like, whoa, no, you're a Miami Dolphin. 1 o'clock, 3 hours later, you're on a flight to Miami. Then now you're playing.
You remember that show, Martin, when he used to be like, woo, 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 woo.
Yes, you guys have to know that.
If you don't know Martin, if you don't know that
No,
Martin
I don't.
show,
Martin.
oh, you gotta go
Martin
YouTube.
Lawrence. Yeah, you got it's hilarious. That's funny. That's a
man.
great reference.
It's a situation where it's like everything, your entire life. I'm going off of who my father was, who my uncles were. When my parents split up, my mom used to come from work, pick me, my brother, my sister up, go from Richmond, Virginia to New Kent, Virginia, drive us all the way across town and take us to Pop Warner practices and workouts and all that stuff. So I'm thinking in my head, what am I going to buy her? I'm thinking in my head, what am I going to get my grandparents and all that? And obviously, what am I going to get myself?
You got to
Because we balling out.
So a little
Your checks go up from practice squad checks to I'm on the team checks.
Right.
So hey, baby, you want an appetizer and you can get the wine. We can do whatever on dates now. We can do whatever we want. Get whatever you want. So it was an amazing feeling, and I kind of, when I get down on myself sometimes, like I look back at my career and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have done this, wish I could have done this. I look at different points of it. Happy moments, and that's definitely one of the happy moments that I had, because it's like,
yeah, I mean,
what Drake say, we made it.
Yeah,
Right.
We made it.
You actually, all the hard work you put in is all come
Paying
together,
off.
and you're finally reaping the benefits of everything that you've put in to it. How did you do that first game? You said you had.
I missed a tackle on Leon Washington. I didn't have a tackle that game. The second game they set me, because I didn't. It actually dawned on them that if something happens to one of these receivers, this guy has to go in at receiver, not
Exactly.
just special teams, and he doesn't know anything.
Right.
He's been here for a week, so I set the second 2 games. That's when they did that Wildcat stuff. That's when Wildcat came in.
Yeah, I remember
And then
that.
against the San Diego Chargers, they came in. I had 2 special teams tackles, and I almost blocked the punt. Teammate ran into me, but I almost blocked the punt. So it was like, and my best friend from high school was in the audience for that game, and he was actually staying with me, trying to help me keep my head level and stuff, because I'm 23 years old in Miami with money.
I was gonna mention that. Like, I mean, New York is not an easy city to be
I know.
in either.
Nah.
As an athlete, you got certain cities that, as a professional athlete, is way more distractions away from
Football,
away
the
from
game.
work.
Yeah.
Let's
now
say
you have
work.
South Beach.
Right. So now, from Manhattan to the beach, like it's like, and then you ended up in Pittsburgh for a brief stint. For a brief stint. But it's like Pittsburgh doesn't compare to Miami or
That's what you think. They get it in Pittsburgh. They get
But
it in
compared to
Pittsburgh.
New York and Miami,
It's levels to it. Obviously, you go New York, Miami. You're seeing women. You like, man, I can't wait to bring her home to introduce her to mama.
right?
You know, and the
that's what you're
parties,
thinking,
and the parties are great. But anytime you have NFL attached to your name, like I was trying to make the team with the Steelers, but we would go out. They show love,
Right.
That's their team, they're Steelers, so they're
Right.
gonna show you love out there. You're gonna get free bottle here, or get VIP here at the top Pittsburgh club or whatever. But it was hard. It was hard being in New York, going from Mass to small town Amherst, Massachusetts at
Right.
UMass, to being in Super Bowl champion New York
Right.
Giants. And I remember after the Super Bowl, we got back from Arizona. I went out every night for 2 weeks straight.
Oh,
Pink Elephant, Tanjune, Marquee, every club out there, I was in there. You would have thought I scored the game-winning touchdown the way I was on those tables. I was on there. What? And then you go to Miami, and I'm on the team now. I'm playing.
Right.
So when I go, we used to walk in everybody, like, it's funny because everybody's talking about Club
Right.
Live at the Fountain Blue.
Yeah.
Man, we used to walk in there like it was nothing back then,
Right.
and everybody's now it's big because the rappers are on it or
Right,
whatever. But
right.
Live, like everybody talk about Live now. I'm like, man, I used to live and live. Like, I
Right.
used to be there all the time, and we used to get rooms at the Fountain Blue Hotel for like $100 a night. We get a
Wow,
discount.
really?
$100 a night. I lived in Fort Lauderdale. You don't want to drive drunk from Fort Lauderdale to
a drive.
South Beach
Oh, yeah.
and then South Beach back.
Yeah,
There was no way I was
definitely
doing
do
it. It's one thing I've always like tried to pride myself in not driving drunk.
That's
and
good.
Being on that.
That's good.
That situation.
And that's definitely not worth it because that's what a lot of people.
Yeah, it's
It's
definitely
definitely
not.
not. So how focused do you have to be as a professional athlete to avoid the traps of the distractions
Of the
that
big
come
cities.
away from? I mean, just like we mentioned, he said Pittsburgh. There's it might be worse in a place like Pittsburgh because that's what they have. There's not other things. LA is still waiting for an NFL team because there's so many other forms of sports or entertainment period here. It's like, do we really need a professional football team here? So there are things that balance it out. When you go to a town or a city that's what they have, kind of like being Cornhusker, Nebraska, or something like that everything revolves around that. Actually, you can probably debatably get way more attention put way on a higher pedestal based on where you're at. How is it as an athlete just to, because a lot of people, they always comment, and a lot of athletes always say, look, I hate when people comment. If you never played a sport, why are you commentating, or why are you making this opinion or whatever?
Exactly.
So give the fans a little bit about this perspective, because they don't understand what that perspective is like.
It depends on the personality. You have some guys who that life, they don't care about that life. You got some guys they found their girlfriend in high school. They're all about her. They're already married. They already have a kid, and they just go off and do they live their NFL life, together and their thing. You have guys who the other extreme is they still know how to handle themselves, man. You can tell some guys who've never had any type of success or never had a pretty girl, wink at them or something, because they attach themselves to that, and it's not about football anymore. It's about that
Lifestyle.
I kind of flirted that line a little bit, not because I didn't have a pretty girl ever wink at me before or anything, but it was just because
I'm sure he's had plenty of pretty girls.
it's just coming from UMass when we were 1AA,
Right.
small town Massachusetts, like you said, and then going to these big bright lights in New York. 40-40 Club, back when the 40-40 Club was dead. We used to just, walk in there.
Right.
There's Jay, wow.
Right. Yeah.
And it's you that attaches to you, but it has to be something that always grounds you. There has to be. That's where your love for the game. That's where that inner competitor comes out. Because you can go out. You can go out the night before. You can go have fun. But if you don't wake up in the morning and outwork everybody, I mean everybody, because Eli wasn't out last night. Other guys, there certain guys like that. They weren't out last night. They're up early and they're getting that workout in, they're getting that grind in. So if you're gonna play hard, you better be able to work the hardest.
Right.
You better be able to work the hardest. Some guys can get away with it. I've seen some guys party on a Friday night and then go and ball out of control on Sunday on the field. Two touchdowns, over 100-something yards. And I'm sitting there looking like, how is this possible? How is this person? I was just out with this person, and they were getting it in because I was getting it in.
Right.
And then they just went out and just had an uncontrollable, just balled out of control this game. How is that possible? Some people can do it. But the majority, you have to be able to cross that line when you have to, because you can get caught up, man. You get caught up in those streets.
I think for some
Spiral
guys,
down.
I think for some guys it might be a motivative factor. For them. Just being out, the attention is kind of part of the reward of working hard, but it also motivates you to work even harder, because you're like, maybe if it's this good, if I work even harder and perform more, it could be even greater than this.
Miles Austin. I think Miles Austin, because Miles Austin, undrafted out of Monmouth, was doing his thing. You know, he had T.O. there in Dallas that was kind of, he wasn't able to, to really explode. But then he was making plays, and then what happened? Started dating Kim Kardashian. That's what making plays does for you.
Right.
That's how you can think about it. Like, if I go out here and I'm making plays, I get a Kardashian. I can be on TV all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You think it's going to get better. Like you said, Meek Mills, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
It's levels to this.
You're right.
Exactly. It's all mental.
It's
how
all
you
mental.
deal with things
Yeah.
and how you think about it. If you think about it in a positive light, it's going to
Yeah.
help you. If you think
But
about it negatively, then it won't.
But on the flip side, once you do it that big, the media, Skip Bayless, Stephen A., they want you doing it every day. They want you competing at a high level every day. If not, oh, he's not focused. He's
They want you to
hanging with a
prove up.
Kardashian.
Well, and
all
then
that.
you get the cameras all around, and it's basketball, Lamar Odom.
Yeah.
Then everything just completely goes down.
You can't. You have to. It has to be, especially when the cameras come around. It has to be something in you that keeps you grounded. It keeps
the
you
game.
humble. It keeps you in the game performing. I think Victor Cruz is the perfect poster child for all that he's doing with the Spanish TV, Time Warner Cable, and all that. Because in college, Vic worked his butt off, and he was just overall just cool dude, Like, so you knew something was going to happen with him in terms of, when he got on, his personality was going to run with it. But Vic's grounded, man. Vic knows where he's been, coming from Paterson, New Jersey, and all that. So he's not the type that's going to get all caught up too much with the cameras and all. Yeah, he's having fun with it. Yeah, he gets free stuff here, but he's using it as that. He's using it to build his brand. Some guys, they use it, they attach themselves to it, and then when it goes away, when you're having a bad season or whatever, and you're going away, that's what you think. Oh, no one likes me no more. No one wants to talk to me. Started from the bottom, now I'm here, but now they're gone. No new friend. It's all the hashtag, all these hashtags, and I'll be
life.
back. Yeah,
Right, the hashtag lifestyle.
So you're a hashtagger.
Right.
Yeah, I love hashtags, trending topics all the time.
Let's talk about your transition to Canada.
Okay.
Because the game in the CFL is obviously the same, but not the same. In this, as an athlete or as a fan or a spectator, you can look at it and say, oh, well, the field's bigger and that's about it. As the actual athlete who does it, there's a world of difference.
It's a world of difference. There's 3 downs instead of 4.
You signed with the Montreal Alouettes.
I got released by the Steelers, hung around Jersey for a little bit, working out, waiting to see if any NFL team was going to call. Nobody called. The Alouettes called and was just like, man, we've been watching you since college. There's a thing they called the MAG list or the NAG list, to where if they don't think you're going to make it in the NFL, they put you on the list and they have rights to you. So they had rights to Ocho Cinco, they had rights to Troy Smith, and all that. These are new guys we have on our team this year because things didn't work out in the league.
All right.
3 years, 5 years, 8 years from now, we have the rights to you. So they had my rights since college, and I got up there, man. We had current Chicago Bears coach, Mark Trestman. He was my coach in Canada when I first got up there. It's 12 players on the field. The
Right.
field's bigger and longer. It's
Right.
It's 3 downs instead of 4.
Right.
And instead of just lining up and running your route, you already have a 10-yard running start to run your route.
Right.
So you got to be better conditioned, because let's say you in the NFL you run a 5-yard route. In the CFL, it's almost a 15-yard route because you
Right.
add an extra 10 for the waggle. So it took a lot of adjustments and a lot of, at first I didn't think I was going to like it, because you get up there and then, you got your guys who've been CFL All-Stars and all, and everybody walking around like, oh, I'm CFL this, I'm the man here. And I'm thinking, man, I just got done playing against Revis and these guys, man. Ike Taylor, like, who are you?
Right.
But then you grow, the humble side comes back in,
Right.
and you realize if you want to go back to the league, you got to ball out.
Yeah.
If you want to continue to play, you got to be a team guy. You can't be up there thinking your stuff don't stink. You know,
Right.
nobody likes a guy like that. So I humble myself, man. I got around a good group of guys. Guys I still play with now, S.J. Green, Jamel Richardson, kind of pulled me off to the side, got to hang out with them. Obviously, video games brings everybody together. So we up there playing
For
video
guys.
games. And you just became cool, and then you realize that I'm sitting there at the Grey Cup, and there's like 65, 70,000 people there at this game.
Right.
It's the NFL, but in Canada. It's
Right.
their NFL. So we
Right.
go to stadiums packed.
Yeah.
We go out at night. We may get a comp bottle here, a comp bottle here. Everybody, come on to VIP, come on to my table. We still living that life. Guys
Right.
are still up there getting endorsements, doing things. It's just once you cross that border to come back, once you hand that passport and he gives it back and he's like, welcome back to the United States. Canada, who?
Right.
People looking at you play for who?
Right,
So
right.
I think that's the biggest adjustment sometimes because our season ends at the end of November. So December is when everybody comes home, and you go from, sometimes you could walk outside and people be like, hey, Brendan London. They speak French up there. So it's,
Right.
hey, Brendan London.
Right.
And then you come here and you walk by somebody and they look at you like, man, who is this guy?
Right. Right.
That's something that you get used to, but I love it, man.
Yeah.
It's ball. It's
Yeah.
football. I could be working at Walmart right now. I could be a waiter right now to fund my off the field stuff, like my entertainment stuff that I'm trying to do. But I'm blessed to still be playing football. I'm going to my 8th year of professional football. 3 years in the
Yeah.
league, my 5th year in Canada. So
That's
it's
a
like
blessing.
you just run with it, man. Just run. I don't know what it's gonna. I'm probably not gonna be a Hall of Famer. My stats aren't anything crazy, but my goal, what I want to take away from football, is I want to flip it and be like the Rick Fox, Michael Strahan, Dwayne Johnson type thing.
Right.
So that's, I'm at that age now where it's football has to work. I want to do things to, start making that transition as easy as possible, because a lot of guys retire and then they're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs.
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
You've attached yourself to this game for your entire life. You've sacrificed. Man, I go home to Virginia, see one day my little brother's here, one day my little brother's staring at me in my face. Boy's only like 16 years old. You miss so much.
Yeah.
And like, oh, grandparents are getting old. That type of situation. It's like, man, I want to make this transition as easy as possible so I can just go straight from football to the entertainment world, to be able to fly, go see grandparents anytime I want, go do all that anytime I want. So Canada's been great so far, man, other than the concussions and the knee injury. But I mean, that's just the game, man.
Right.
That's
It
just the
is. That's
game.
what comes with the
comes
game.
with it.
So you want to be in the entertainment industry?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
It's hard for me to just sit there and say I want to be an actor or just a TV host. I want it all. I want to do it all. I think, and I stay in contact with Michael Strahan. I text him and tell him what I have going on out here and stuff. I think what he did after he walked away with a Super Bowl ring, Super Bowl championship. He had that sitcom on Fox at first. What was it,
Right.
Brothers or something? It got
Yes.
canceled.
Yes.
But then you just started Pros versus Joes and,
Right.
and all these other things. And now look, it's Kelly and Michael in the morning.
Right.
He took over for Regis Philbin.
Yeah.
Regis,
That's
one of the
huge.
biggest names out there.
Yeah.
And as a black man, as a black athlete,
Yeah.
nobody knows football players because we have the helmets on.
Right.
But Michael Strahan came in and he beat out Nick Lachey, he beat out Tay Diggs, he beat out all those guys who went and auditioned for it, and he beat those people out.
And it works.
And it
does
works.
work.
It works. And I have to look at Dwayne Johnson's career. He got cut by the Calgary Stampeders, a CFL team. And then
Sure did.
went, he had a wrestling background, so it goes back to
That's The Rock for some of you.
That's
who
The
don't
Rock,
know who
yeah.
Dwayne Johnson is.
I don't like calling him The Rock anymore.
Yeah,
man. I don't watch
either.
wrestling
he's
anymore.
grown out of
Dwayne
that.
Johnson.
Yeah,
But
he's Dwayne Johnson.
I just been out here in Hollywood for the past 2 off seasons, man, meeting different people, being able to do the AfterBuzz TV and
Right.
and starting my own web series and learning from Marquis Costello how to be a proper host and taking my acting classes. I'm in a Montreal School of Performing Arts
Nice.
during the season up in Canada. So I'm constantly trying to work my craft, man, like work your craft because it's the same thing as trying to make it to the NFL, man.
Yeah.
You
Right.
got to go out. You got to work. Y'all Hollywood people, man. Y'all been doing this for you kind of like me. We're crossing over, but everybody else, Leonardo and all them, they've been doing it since day one, man. They've been taking classes, method acting and doing all that since day one. Somebody tell me method acting, I'm like, man, what in the world? I got to be this person like that.
Right.
You mean if I'm gonna play a bum, I can't shower for 2 weeks?
Right.
Hold on, wait a minute. I need to get wavy here.
Right.
But it's a situation, man. My dad wants me to coach for him, man. He's always hitting me up like, oh, when it's over, I got a little spot for you, and you could come work for me, coach for me. But I'm not in love with football like that. Coaches got to be there before everybody. They leave after everybody.
Yeah.
You can't be on Twitter doing meetings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Come on, but I just love the entertainment aspect of football and what it's bringing. And I've attached myself with sports lifestyle. So that's why I started a web series, Jersey Off, Suit On, because I wanted to show fans what we athletes do, how we live this exclusive lifestyle off the field.
Right.
When we take our jerseys off and put the suits on, and we're gonna live that life.
Right.
So that's why I started that, man. I'm all about that. But the acting thing is just something that I kind of just fell into that, man. Like I started with modeling, like doing BET, Rip the Runway and all that. And then someone saw me, told me to link up with Tracy Moore. She's a great acting coach in New York City. Started working with her. And then from there, I just started, booking a little short film here, short film there. Do the extra role on After Earth. Got my SAG vouchers. Did extra role on USA Channel's Growing Pains. No, it's not Growing Pains. It's
Growing Pains is canceled.
Royal Pains or something. I forgot what it's called, but just little things happening, man. Just little doors opening up, and I understand that this is not something that I'm just gonna transition and be Will Smith right away.
Right.
Gotta work for that.
Right.
But I'm willing to work for it.
Right.
So I
Well,
mean,
you definitely have.
You have the work ethic.
Yeah, you have the work ethic and you have the background. I mean, I think definitely that sports at that level has groomed you
Yeah.
to put in the work and knowing that, and then humbling yourself and knowing what the ups and downs could and will be going into the entertainment industry. And just my personal opinion, and you could probably vouch for this. To me, I think professional sports is probably way more cutthroat than the entertainment
Way
business.
more cutthroat.
Because you have a limited time, and Charlotte knows this as well. Being a former athlete, you just have a limited window that you can perform, and those spots are so few and far in between. There's so much that you can do in the entertainment industry as far as performing until the day you die. Pretty much, you can grow old and just always be a performer. As an athlete, no matter what, I mean, just think of gymnasts. 18, you're old.
oh, exactly. Exactly. And then,
You know what I'm saying? You're old.
I turned
you're
30
Like
this-
granny, and you're a granny at 18 as a gymnast. That's just the way that sport is.
that's just how it is, and people don't realize that, man. I don't
Right.
think they don't, like you said, it could be more cutthroat than the entertainment industry. The only thing with the entertainment industry is just so many people can do it.
Yeah.
So I'll get a casting, I'll get something from my agent, and it'll be like, casting, light-skinned black guy, African-American male, light complexion, 6'1" to 6'4", and I'm like, man, I'm perfect. I show up, it's like 20 me's in the lobby. I'm like, B London, hey B London, hey B London. Hey, what is going on here? I thought I was the only tall, light-skinned brother on earth. That was the only athlete, tall, light-skinned brother. I get there, it's 100 of us right there. I'm like, man. So that's the only thing with the entertainment industry that gets me.
This
But
guy is funny.
when it comes to the football, there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much you got to worry about in sports. You get injured, somebody come take your job.
Yeah.
Something happens, somebody come take your job.
Yeah.
Somebody can always come take your job in that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, both industries is really no job security. But I like how in the entertainment industry they get paid up front.
Right.
I like that. Guaranteed checks. Football is not guaranteed except your signing bonus. You got to play for the rest of your contract.
Yeah.
Right.
I hear in this entertainment industry, they're guaranteed checks. As an athlete, you love
Your
guaranteed
smile.
checks. Yeah,
Right.
I'll tap dance for guaranteed checks.
Right. Well, it's been great. Charlotte, do you have anything else that you want to?
No, I think yeah.
Where can we find? Where can your fans find you, bro?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and my handle is @culturedathlete. And I have my website, BrandonLondonTV.com. I'm constantly trying to add new videos, new lifestyle videos on there.
Awesome.
And, just hit me up. I'm a chatter guy. I love talking on Twitter, talking trash. And I'm trying to get more and more videos out. And the Jersey Off, Suit On episodes, I do the editing on my own. I shoot with Kevin John. Me and Kevin John actually shoot.
Really?
And we do some things. And I am trying to get the editing, get the turnover time a lot faster to get it to people. And this season, I'm going to shoot a documentary up in Canada and start doing like some vlog stuff because people need to know, man.
Yeah.
It's still ball, it's still football. I'm living that life. Doing fashion shows up there.
I think a lot of people like to see a documentary with you.
Yeah.
You
It's not just going to be me, though, because we got Ocho Cinco now. I'm going to try and get him on there.
You should.
Troy
He loves
Smith.
reality
Oh,
stuff,
man.
documentaries and stuff like that.
Oh, man, that guy was just at our mini camp this past week in Vero Beach, Florida, man. That guy's funny, man.
Yeah.
And he still has it.
Yeah.
The boy still has
he
it.
does.
And
He's an athlete.
I'm going to just hop on. I'm going to ride his wave. Like, hey, come see Ocho Cinco on Brandon London show. All right. They're looking at me. They're looking at Ocho Cinco.
I'm gonna see if I can put a call in the chat and have him jump on it. And you guys, that would be great. That would be so entertaining.
I can't
And I
wait.
know the fans would love to see that you and him on camera.
I would love that,
awesome.
bro.
Okay, Charlotte, where can we find you? Until next time.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CharlotteB_TV.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Club Thaddeus, CLUBTHADDEUS, and GQJedi.com. Until next time, sports fans.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.